Now let's have a closer look into all the three aspects, being the email format, so the content, how does it look like? Then we have this transfer, the forwarding, the infrastructure, and we have this retrieval, the second phase of retrieval, accessing the emails. So first of all, the content. Okay, so we need a message format. So what is needed in the end? We need the message. Whoa, big surprise, the message itself. So that's text. And something newer, at least from the very beginning, it was not really planned to have something like attachments. So this is newer, attachments and multimedia and whatever. So that's something that the message. Then definitely we need the destination address. So that's the minimum. And that's typically your name at some location. So that's the minimum we have. And then maybe some optional parameters for priority, security, etc. And for example, so that is very simple. Receiver address and the message. At that time, there were already this, as I mentioned, considerations of a real complex and real powerful mail system, X400. There you could actually retract messages after sending. That's typically not possible in the internet. Once you send an email, it's gone. It's inside the system, and there's no way of saying, oh, no, sorry, that was a mistake. I want to retract the message. I want to get it back. So no way. So there are email systems that can do this. There are also corporate systems that can do this, but in the classical internet, no way. Okay, so we need a standard for this, and one of the standards, relevant standards, is shown here, the 2822 for email formats. So describing envelopes created by the MTA based on the data and email header. So you write your email, and you write in the email header, you write, oh, this goes to my aunt at family whatever.de. So then the MTA takes this and says, okay, this should be the receiver. Then I write this on the envelope. The envelope is needed for this technical thing, this transfer of the email. Like in the post service, they only need the envelope. They should not look inside the envelope. Then, so we have the envelope. We have some header fields. That's a one-liner ASCII. I'll come back to this. Then there's a blank line to separate the header from the message. So we have an envelope. Inside the envelope, we have the content consisting of a header, blank line, message. So this looks as follows. So we have somewhere the envelope around all this. So that's the idea of having the envelope with some information. And inside we have the header and the body. The header has a special syntax. It's a key value pair. For example, the key is from, and then the value is the email address of my colleague. And then there's to, that's the key, and some value. And then you have subject, exam, etc. And then you can have many more, as we will see. And then important, we have a blank line separating the header from the body. And the body is simply a sequence of characters. You can write whatever you like here. Okay, that's the basic setting. But and people were happy for years with exactly this setting. But as the internet grew and many more uses showed up, we had a problem. The problem, again, remember DNS, the content allows only US ASCII. And then there are crazy people like the Germans having fancy characters like Ä and Ü, and even this, whatever this is, it's not a beta. So, or in Sweden, you have a character like this one, or whatever this. And then there are even more characters, or so rather looking like drawings. So in French, in Turkish, and many other languages, cultures. So how do we add special characters? Because I want to write a name in here with an Ö. And this is not part of the ASCII character set. So what do we do there? But we like to do this because this is part of the culture. Okay, what to do? Then binary content. Audio. What happens if we want to integrate music or an image or whatever? We want to attach this. This was the reason for extending this 7-bit format, and this is called the Multipurpose Internet Mail Extensions, RC 2045. So it's not ASCII only, but it's an extension. And here you have to define additional headers, because now this is more than to and from, but it has to tell you, as we will see, a lot more. Different content types. So what do we transfer? And then something quite important, that's an example, an encoding. Why? Now suddenly we transfer fancy characters like this, or whatever there is. How to transfer this? How to transfer something like, if you, I don't know, whatever, transfer things like this or whatever it is. So we need an encoding, because it could be the case that depending on the encoding of these characters, the systems in between don't know how to handle, because the majority of the MTAs, they are 7-bit only. I know there are some exceptions and you can do this in a different way, but that's the minimum, the mandatory requirement for the MTAs. They know how to handle 7-bit ASCII. So this is why we have to translate everything into 7-bit ASCII. Okay, so this MIME basically said, okay, what is the description of the content? So what's the content of the message? We have some identifiers. We'll see some examples. We see how this is then encoded. Base 64 is an example for this. And then there are certain subtypes like, oh, it's an image, but oh, it's a JPEG image, for example. There are some other images like GIF or whatever, PNG, and so on. So content types telling the receiver, oh, this is now a ASCII characters, many of them, but they mean an image, encoded as JPEG. So the content type tells the receiver, so what type, image, what subtype, JPEG, and then we need see, it's a still picture in JPEG format. So, and there are many, 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 many more. So that's the idea. There are things like mixed multi-part independent parts in an email, or the same message in different formats. What does it mean? For example, if your email program is text only or can work with HTML or rich text or whatever, you can have the same message in different formats. So interesting thing. So you see, there are many different types now suddenly, and it's not ASCII 7-bit only. So proprietary types in addition, like Microsoft Word and all these things. And this is the reason why you can now attach a Word file to a message and the receiver knows how to handle it. Internally, it looks different. 7-bit ASCII. So you see that this MIME translates everything. Let's start from the bottom here. Everything in this whatever WFPBI, whatever 7-bit ASCII. That's classical 7-bit ASCII. Meaning that all the MTAs can easily forward this. Base 64 encoding. In reality, this is a zip file. Oh, that's a zip file. Could be whatever. Content type, application, zip. So the receiver knows, okay, that's a zipped file. Let's unzip it. And then let's continue with whatever application can handle this zip and whatever else. We'll also see an example where I see what is the meaning of these strange characters here. I find them again here. Well, there is something random looking kind of a border between different parts of an email. And hopefully this border never shows up in the content. This would confuse the email program. So this is a kind of a random number and telling the receiver, okay, there's a part here and there's another part here. So several parts in a message. And for each part you see the content type. Oh, we have a plain text with a certain character set, and then you see content encoding quoted printable that says hello. Okay, there's another content type. This was our application, our zip file. So you see different content, different parts, but in the end it's all ASCII. So there are no strange signs, characters, whatever, if you want to transfer something. So that's the classical way of how you encode arbitrary content inside the system for the messages, the system that was built for 7-bit ASCII. So as time goes on, we need a bit more than only 7-bit ASCII. Okay, some easy questions. So think again, why do we need this, for example, base 64 encoding? What would happen if we transmit something without the encoding? Not base 64, just send the message as it is, attachment as it is. What could happen? You will understand maybe a bit better if as soon as I explain how you create the message. Then we saw MIME for the content. Yeah, with MIME we can transmit whatever fancy stuff, pictures and music, etc. But what about email addresses? So far the email addresses are still 7-bit ASCII. What about international? We saw this with DNS already. So we also like non-ASCII email addresses. Follow the links and you will learn how Ukraine and Canada, that's in part of India, language. So how you encode this. I cannot read it, but the system can, and these are valid email addresses. So this is not something strange. These are valid email addresses.